I want to call to order the April meeting of South Carolina Commission of Disabilities and Special Needs. Welcome. Can I have the welcome notice of meeting statement, please?
Yes, ma'am. A news release announcing the date, time, and place of the April 18th, 2019 Commission meeting was distributed on April 16th, 2019 to appropriate media and other groups or individuals who have requested notification. The announcement and agenda were posted at the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs Central Administrative Office and on the website. The public has been notified that accommodations such as interpreters, mobility assistance, or other assistance will be provided to individuals with disabilities and special needs if requested in advance.
Thank you. Can I have adoption of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Notification. Oh, Heavenly Father, we appreciate the opportunity to meet here today. Oops. Oh, I've got it on my phone and it won't go. What makes this country great is not that everyone thinks alike, but the diversity of its people. We gather here today to enhance the lives of people we serve. I don't ask you to bow your heads, but to look up at what we can accomplish by working together. I don't ask you to close your eyes, but to keep them wide open to the problems of our community faces. With your talents and insights, we can lead this community to a better future. Today, we are going to honor the workers who have excelled in working with our residents, and we want to thank you for their special service. Amen. Can I have an introduction of guests? Starting up in the front with Pat.
Pat Miller, DDSN.
Hannah Vanderbilt, DDSN. Susan Beck, DDSN.
I'm here for Margie Williams, Connie Goldman.
Great, wonderful.
Robin Blackwood will be the commissioner for District 4 in Greenville.
Wonderful, great, welcome.
Bobby Birdie, DDSN. Rufus.
Y'all gonna have to stand up because all I can see is, there you go.
DDSN.
Thank you.
Logan Dixon, DDSN. Liz Lamont, DDSN.
Deborah and Heather McPherson, Richland County.
Thank you.
Patricia Harrison, advocate.
There you go.
Angel Schuler, DDSN.
And who's next to you, Angel?
My daughter, Medina Haynes.
Oh, so nice to have you too.
Bob Jones, Newberry County, and Partners for Pride.
Cindy Farr, DDSN board.
Good morning, Kathleen Roberts, Whitten Center Parents Club, and parent of 2 children, served for 31 years. So,
Right.
Randy Davis, Whitten Center.
Sally Simmons, Whitten Center.
Frida King in for Joyce Davis, Brain Injury Association of South Carolina.
Thank you.
Sarah Brownson, Spinal Cord Injury Safety Exchange.
Angela Wright, Midland Center.
Rachel Schuler, Midland Center.
Ricky Shola is my wife.
Wonderful, thank you.
Brian Manning, DDSN.
That's on Bright Start. Carrie Todd, Bright Start.
Susan John, Horry County.
Sally Baker, Family Connection.
Ray Miller, DB Council.
Joyce Kinley, DDSN.
Nancy Hall, DDSN.
Kathleen Lynn, H1 Claire.
Cynthia McKeever, PD Center.
Lottie Hart, PD Center.
Wilma H. Epps, PD Center.
Becky Bell, Coastal Center.
St. Maurice, Calhoun County.
Forward Warren Backpack Center.
John Hitchman, DDSN.
Mary Kelly, Service Center.
Dan Chapman, Solidity Center.
Thank you. And our tech guy over here, I don't think you introduced yourself. Great, wonderful. Thank you all and welcome. Can I have the approval of the minutes of March 21st, 2019 commission meeting?
So moved. Second.
All right,
Do
so,
we
huh?
do we need to vote?
No, you want us to vote? You're the attorney, I could care less.
Okay. Hey, technically, after we have, we should
Okay.
vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, public input.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Laurie, sorry about that. Public input, Susan John, please, from Horry County Disability.
Good morning. Thank you for giving me the opportunity again to share with you some thoughts this morning. I'm speaking on behalf of Horry County Disabilities and Special Needs as the Executive Director. As I have shared with you over the last couple months, there are significant concerns as a result of changes occurring in case management. We, as providers, were asked to submit a transition plan to central office with our intentions as to how we are going to address case management changes within our own organizations. These plans were due at the beginning of April. Providers across the state recognize the huge concerns about the stability of our system, and in particular, the stability of case management. For this reason, the South Carolina Human Service Provider Network Case Management Committee has spent countless hours working to assure that case managers across the state have the tools in their toolbox to be as productive with their time and with the time of those that they support, thus equating to billable units. The Case Management Committee of the South Carolina Human Service Providers has provided 2 separate days of training, one that was held in Myrtle Beach at the South Carolina Human Service Conference and one this past Friday at the Richlex DSN board. What they continue to discover is that the level of knowledge and skill is pretty much all over the place, and that the provider case managers are at very different levels of understanding the requirements for billable units. This could not be more evident in the recent case management statistics that were published this past week. The highest performer was performing at 118% of their current band payment, and the lowest performer at 15% of their current revenue. This report again shows that there have been some providers who are improving and others who may improve for a month, but have not been able to sustain that improvement for months in a row. What is significant is still the number of providers who the number of providers who, if we started this process of $25 and $15 face-to-face and non-face-to-face tomorrow, 23 providers would lose 50% of their current band payment, and of those 23 providers, 14 of those would stand to lose 60% of their current band payment. Please note that only 45 providers are being monitored. 23 is slightly more than 50% of the providers that were projected to lose more than 50% of their case management revenue. 2 of those providers, more specifically, are classified as large providers. That means 500 plus consumers. 3 of those providers are classified as medium, with 300 to 499 consumers. 7 providers are classified as small, 150 to 299 consumers, and 11 of those providers are classified as very small, of 0 to 149 consumers. The worst case scenario is the changes being implemented July 1 has the potential to impact 7,100 consumers and families across our state. All other providers, still according to the statistics presented by DDSN, stand to lose between anywhere from 17 to 50% of their existing band payments once the system goes live, if we were to start today. My question is this: what is the plan that DDSN has to sustain the current viability of case management so consumers can continue to receive the supports that they deserve? Providers have submitted their transition plans, information has been analyzed, and quite frankly, we're in the middle of April, and we have less than 3 months to go, and providers have not been offered the complete understanding of what DDSN plans to do should the case management system fail. I learned a couple of days ago that DDSN is finally offering training to those providers that they are most concerned about. A large provider in the upstate is receiving training to assure that they have the best opportunity to be successful. Remember, a large provider has more than 500 plus people or consumers and their families that they are supporting. This particular provider has significantly more than 500. What is very disheartening is the fact that we are now in the middle of April with less than 3 months to go before the rate goes into effect, and training is finally being made available. Quite honestly, this should have happened 6 months ago so that providers had the opportunity to practice the new skills that they are learning so that they would be ready as of July 1. What training is being offered to all of the providers and the 23 other providers across the state that stand to lose more than 50% of their revenue? Is there enough time to train and bring those providers up to speed before July 1 of 2019? This past week, providers were given a copy of the draft case management standards for waiver case management, Medicaid targeted case management, and state-funded case management. In the waiver standards, there is a new requirement that waiver case management providers must have a minimum of 4 staff with waiver case management qualifications. This has potentially significant impact for smaller providers who may not even have 4 staff. What this means is that the agency must have an emergency plan or an agreement with another waiver case management provider in place to cover in the event of such an emergency. Questions that arise from this requirement is, 1, what agencies will be willing to serve as the emergency point of contact with or without compensation? 2, in the event of a true emergency, will the receiving emergency agency have enough staff to support the needs of those other consumers in those counties? 3, what is the liability risk of the agency who agrees to be the emergency agency? 4, if citations from a Alliant review come up during the time that the emergency agency was providing supports, which agency is going to be held accountable for any citations that might arise? And 5th, if the county suddenly decides to divest themselves of providing case management, how will freedom of information or freedom of choice be offered when another county who is providing emergency relief is handled? These are just a few concerns and questions that have been identified, and as we receive those draft standards. My point in all of this simply is, what is the plan? In all fairness to providers across the system, we need to know what the plan is. If DDSN's plan is to support providers for multiple months and prop them up to get them through this transition, then we need to know that if that's the final plan. If DDSN's plan is to provide a supplemental or a higher payment to another board provider or private provider to take on cases that in areas that are not viable, then we need to know the plan, and we need to know the amount of the supplemental and if it's sustainable. In closing, quite honestly, Horry County has worked extremely hard to make the expectation of sustainability by July 1. Now we are simply asking for feedback from the state level to determine the next steps that we need to take to remain viable and sustainable. If not, I again say that tsunami is coming, and we will have many families across our state negatively impacted by systems change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Deborah McPherson, please.
Good morning. DDSN staff have recently encouraged the Commission to lift the freeze on admissions to South Carolina Mentor. Is the Commission aware that the U.S. Senate has recently launched an investigation into Mentor's group homes in response to substantiated abuse at one of the company's Oregon facilities? The Senate Committee on Finance, chaired by Senator Chuck Grassley, sent letters this month to the Oregon and Iowa branches of Mentor demanding copies of compliance records by the end of the month. Commissioners should take note that it was Senator Grassley who sent auditors from GAO to investigate DDSN cost reports, resulting in a recoupment of more than $13 million in GAO audits released in 2012 and 2015. Senator Grassley said in a joint statement issued with U.S. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon that when vulnerable Americans are abused or even killed in the care of a taxpayer-funded care provider, that organization must be held accountable. That is exactly what the Commission needs to do to protect vulnerable consumers in Mentor homes in South Carolina before yet another death occurs. The Mentor network operates in 36 states, serving about 13,000 people in for-profit group homes and 19,000 in non-residential settings. Mentor Oregon is being required to provide 6 years of abuse reports and state investigations, the names and positions of staff, staff-to-client ratios in each facility, and training records to the Senate Committee. Similar records have been demanded from the Mentor Iowa branch, citing reports that clients have been sexually abused. Given the history of deaths in Mentor homes in South Carolina, the governor and DDSN need to take heed. This is the Senate Committee's second investigation involving the Mentor network. The previous one examined the company's for-profit child foster care homes. Investigators found that children in the company's care died at a rate 42% higher than the national average. Oregon state regulators closed a Mentor network group home in January 2019 based on evidence that one client had been severely neglected. State regulators found that the managers repeatedly ignored caregivers' concerns about the individual's festering pressure wounds, including that it smelled of rotting flesh. Mentor's Oregon managers failed to train staff, provide minimal care, and make medically inappropriate decisions for a person with a disability who couldn't walk or communicate, deteriorating for months in 2017. Staff didn't bathe the person often enough because the home was short-staffed. Staff ignored a second resident for hours at a time, allowing the person to stay in his own body waste. The state ombudsman reported that these official findings were disturbing because they showed the facility failed to provide a basic level of care. The Senate investigation comes on the heels of renewed oversight by state regulators who've been closely monitoring Mentor since 2017. And it's the second attempt of the Department of Human Services to force Mentor Oregon to make its facilities safer for residents. State officials took the rare step of ordering surprise investigations of Mentor group homes, prompted by the discovery of neglect at a group home in January. They have found systemic low-level violations at 15 of the 24 group homes in Oregon. They are investigating a death at another home that they feel was caused by neglect. So these are some of the things we need to be aware of. But I will remind the commissioners that 2 employees working in a Mentor facility in Richland County were arrested January 25, 2019 for neglect and exploitation of a vulnerable adult and intimidation. A consumer was pushed to the ground and hit in the head by one staff member, and then another staff member then intimidated and told the consumer to tell everyone he was lying about what happened to him. In that same month, this is what I just found out about. Mentor settled a wrongful death claim here in Richland County in a home monitored by DDSN for $5 million. The consumer first was at Midlands Regional Center for Respite Care in March 2014. Then DDSN moved him to a Mentor facility on May 21st, 2014. The consumer died there basically 3 years later. When I read the court records of this case, it reminded me so much of the death that occurred to Jamie Roseman in the Greenville Mentor facility that was reported in the 3-part series covered by the Greenville News. In both cases, it appears the consumers were not administered the medications they were prescribed by their physicians. In both cases, mothers desperately tried to call the house in hours before their son's deaths. In Jamie Roseman's case, his mother was told he had lost his phone privileges and therefore she could not talk with him. The real reason was that Jamie could not speak to his mother was that he was already dead. He had eloped through a window that a sensor had not been fixed. He was found dead 1.5 miles away from the Greenville Mentor home where he'd been struck by 2 vehicles. In this most recent case, the consumer had called his mother complaining he was very thirsty and that staff would not give him anything to drink. His mother repeatedly tried to call the group home to ensure that he was given something to drink, but each time she was unable to reach someone at the facility. She left messages, but her son was discovered to be unresponsive in the yard of the Mentor group home. He had been left outside in the hot sun in 93-degree weather, had blisters on his skin, a cut to his forehead, and a large rash on his stomach. He was declared dead at 3:30 p.m. and his core temperature was 106 degrees. This commission has a duty of care to consider this death, the history of deaths, and other adverse events in Mentor homes before lifting the freeze on new admissions. No money can replace a life. Instead of lifting the freeze, the commission should turn its attention to protecting these residents who currently live in Mentor group homes. Are they safe? Would you allow your son or daughter to live in one of these homes? How many Mentor families have been given the option of having their child's money follow the person so they might return home or choose another provider with a better safety record? Mr. Malley assured this commission when he was hired as interim director in 2017 that there was no crisis at DDSN, having assured commissioners in September 2016 that his research did not indicate systemic abuse at Mentor. Tell that to the mothers of these sons who died at DDSN placed them in Mentor homes. Finally, I know there's a lot of concern about case management. Case management is the foundation of this service system. Without case managers, plans are not developed, services are not authorized, the provision of needed services are not monitored. It has a direct impact on the quality of life of people with disabilities and their families. Case management has an impact on the finances of this state agency and the local providers. I would urge you to proceed with caution. It's my opinion that the DDSN case management system is not ready to be transferred to market rates July 1st. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Patricia Harrison.
Thank you. I have, copies for the commissioners. I have a few extra sets if anybody wants one afterwards. I'm Patricia Harrison. I'm an advocate for people with disabilities, and I've got several family members in the system. For many years, DDSN and DHHS billed $250 a month for targeted case management, while paying providers less than half of that amount, or about half that amount. It went up and down. It went lower than half and above half. There are many problems with the plan HHS and DDSN plan to put into place. I'll address only a few of them today. The first and the biggest elephant in the living room is direct billing. Federal law, and two of the commissioners are attorneys, ought to be able to read federal law, clearly, unambiguously says providers must be able to bill HHS directly. The waiver application says that providers must be able to bill directly. For years, providers should have been able to bill the $250 a month directly to DHHS. And this commission hasn't done anything since Tony Keck left to comply with that law. CMS has never approved the band payment system, nor has the General Assembly approved it. I'll read you what it says in the waiver. This is what we in South Carolina have told CMS. Providers maintain the option of billing directly to DHHS, or they may voluntarily reassign their right to direct payments to SCDDSN. Providers billing SCDHHS directly may bill either using a CMS 1500 claim form or by the SCDHHS electronic billing system web tool. How many of you providers have been allowed to do that? Rates paid to providers. The federal law says that rates have to be based on efficiency, economy, quality of care, and adequate access. The waiver amendments which were submitted in 2017, there were two sets of waiver amendments. One the public didn't know about at all. The one is submitted in December 2017, had rates of $31.28 for non-face-to-face and $36.23 for face-to-face time during the first year. This rate decreased each year until year 5, when the rates went down to $26.74 or $16.45 for non-face-to-face. What was going on here? Many of you providers had your costs go down by $9.49 during those 5 years. We have recently heard rumors that DDSN has not submitted cost reports to DHHS for many years for these services. So how were these rates determined if you're not submitting cost reports? You know, USOIG came into this state and did an audit and found that the cost reports were not being done appropriately. They came back 3 years later and issued a report in 2015, said the problems hadn't been corrected, and now we're hearing that no cost reports have been done for targeted case management. Who's going to pay the price for that error? Is the General Assembly going to be told? And are you just going to do what you've done before and take the money out of service where the General Assembly intended it to go? DHH has now informed providers they're not going to be paid for many of the tasks that they are required to perform as case managers, traveling to a site, faxing papers. Y'all have carved out so many things that are part of the job. The waiver amendment says that these rates were constructed based on the government provider's salary and fringe data, estimates of associated direct operational cost and application of an indirect rate for support costs. Well, I don't know any government employee that during the day he travels on his own time. It appears that there's something stinky about how these rates were arrived at. The public deserves an explanation of why no cost reports have been prepared. And whether we're going to be back in a situation where, like in 2012 and 2015, the state had to repay more than 13 million. There's another thing that really bothers me. After I spoke last time, another provider spoke and said, we can't do this. And then another provider got up and said, DDSN has been very transparent. We've known about this and we can do this. Well, what we've learned is that DDSN is paying over $40,000 a year and has been for 2 years to pay for the mortgage or lease payment of this provider, who then stands up and says, we can do it. Well, are you going to pay $40,000 for a mortgage payment for each provider that's about to go under? Because they are already going under. They are going under. I'm hearing case managers from the larger providers getting people because the case manager they use is going out of business. One case management provider is already down 9 slots. What I'm also seeing is this provider that gets a $40,000 supplement call me and say, well, we're doing this because we're requiring meetings every other month because we want to have our case managers get to know the families. Well, at the same time, what they are doing is they are taking families away from case managers where they have been for many years. And they're telling the families, you have no choice. You can't use this person you've used for 12 years. You're going to have a new case manager who lives closer to you because we're not paying travel. So this is a mess. There will be people digging into this. It's poorly conceived. There needs to be an independent investigation of where the money's gone when DDSN was billing $250 a month. And my clients are, when they die, well, their estates are being billed at a rate that was double what the service cost. So the commission has a duty to investigate how we got here. We need to have public hearings and have input on these rates. I think that the process of just telling providers this is the rate we're going to pay you is very illegal, and there's a rate setting process which needs to be followed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kathleen Roberts.
Thank you, Commissioner, for allowing us to speak. I think it's great that we have some public input. On a positive note today, I want to go over a few things that the Whitten Center Parents Club is doing to support Whitten Center and the state of South Carolina, in my opinion. And to begin with, we all know that there's a crisis of shortage of employees, direct care, I don't know what they call them now, they keep changing the term, but those that work directly with our individuals, not just in the state, but in the county boards and all across the country. So we are a bit concerned about that. Coastal Center had come up with, I don't know how they found it, but I appreciate Coastal Center Parents Club letting us know about this. But we came up with an organization called Indeed.com. And they are they assist with helping with the employment situation. So the Parents Club said we wanted to assist with this. So we did, and so did Coastal Center, providing some funds to do this. And we felt it's our responsibility to help also with everything that we possibly can. So Indeed.com has come in and they've done several employment, what do you call it, staffing days, so that we can try to recruit employees. And Coastal Center and Whitten Center have been very successful in doing this. And so we are just thrilled about this. It's a slow process, but we are getting more employees in to take care of our loved ones. And so we thank the administration of Whitten Center and Coastal Center for helping us with this project, and they've been very successful. We continue to hope that HR, Human Resources will continue to support us in this endeavor and move the process as quickly as possible so that we don't leave people standing at the door. So they've made it very accommodable to be able to help with that. And another positive note, we recently had our annual spring Bud Lawless bike run. This is a motorcycle group out of Greenwood that's been doing this for almost 30 years. And they rallied bikers from all over the state to come, and they come to Witten Center. This year they actually met on Witten Center campus. When we were thrilled, we had a provider cooking for us. We had a band, two of our residents. One of them loves playing in the band, so the band that was there let him play in the band. And another guy who signs, he sung signing up on stage. So that was a great process. We had over 200 bikers. They started at Witten, they left the campus, and then they came back through, and staff and individuals made signs welcoming the bikers, and they bring in toiletries and lots of monetary donations, and they also make their own t-shirt, the bikers do, which they sell all year long, and those proceeds go to Witten Center, and we're talking $8,000 to $10,000 a year that comes from that. So it's just, and they do this twice a year, so we are so thrilled to have that. We had just recently, last Wednesday, had our annual Glenn Bledsoe, Wednesday week, had our annual Glenn Bledsoe golf tournament. Glenn was an employee of Witten Center for 30 plus years, and he died in a tragic accident. He had started the golf tournament a few years before he passed, so in memory of him, we named the golf tournament after him. And every year at the Country Club of Newberry, we do a golf tournament. And this year, as in years past, it was very successful. We thank Mary Poole for coming, Nancy Hall, employees Randy Davis and Rufus Britt. Many of our Witten Center staff helped, volunteered and supported this program. Last count, about $13,000 was raised. We had a tremendous amount of sponsors. We had 72 golfers. It had rained sheets Tuesday morning, and Wednesday the skies were beautiful. The ground, I said, I'm a golfer, so I'm going, oh golly, the ground's gonna be too wet. It wasn't wet, I guess it needed the moisture. And so it was just a fabulous day. And so we had a great time with that. And a couple of the door raffles were $1,000 worth of Michelin tires. And also a Citgo gas card and other, just some great raffle items, plus some great door prize items. And so that brought in extra money too. So we were just thrilled with that. So we thank Witten Center always for that support, because the Parents Club is very few in numbers, but we do what we can. And so to have the staff support us, we are just so pleased. And all this money, 100% of the proceeds goes to our residents for trips and for outings and for lots of activities on campus and lots of activities off campus that we pay for. So we appreciate that. We are looking forward to the spring dance. We call it a prom. Every year everybody dresses up, and this year it's the Mardi Gras Masquerade. So we're looking for that on May the 3rd. That's a Friday evening, and again, the staff and the Witten Center Parents Club will be very supportive of that, and it's just always a great time. My most cherished memories of my children are in their tux and going to this dance, and it's just a wonderful opportunity, and so we again are happy to support the facilities, the regional facilities, and we have parents working very hard, and we appreciate that support. We know that everybody cannot live in the community, and we know that there are some that need the care that is provided in the regional center. I also know that federal law continues to try to push that everybody stay in the community, and if they ever get on my toes, they're going to be in trouble because that's my heart. I'm so thankful that we have community placement for individuals and those that can stay at home, but not everybody can do that, and one shoe doesn't fit all. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sounds like y'all got lots going on. Spongy, excuse me. Bunge. Hi, good morning.
Hi,
Well, that's two of y'all, so it's Beth Bunge and who?
and Terry Todd.
Nice to have you.
Thank you. And we're the co-owners of Bright Start.
Okay.
We wanted to say good morning and just take a moment to share a couple things. We're here to celebrate our 20-year anniversary or birthday. What you're going to see, we're going to show you a short video, is that we began 20 years ago with the two of us in a little house on Laurel Street, downtown Columbia. And we had grand plans of having about 4 EIs, early interventionists, in the Columbia area, and then spreading out across the state, providing early intervention services. Lucky for us, plans changed, and we're proud to be standing here 20 years later, providing not only early intervention services, but case management and speech therapy services for, at the moment, over 3,300 families. We're in 19 counties throughout the state, and we're always looking at what we can do next. We're spending this year celebrating and gifting back to the communities that we serve through canned food drives, back to school supply drives, winter coat drive, serving meals to homeless, and countless other projects. We wanted to say a special thanks to everyone in the DDSN system. We actually both started in the DDSN, at DDSN 20 years ago. We wanted to thank the DDSN system, the commission, central office, executive directors, parents, families, and children for allowing us to be part of a mission that helps us serve some of our most vulnerable citizens, and we're looking forward to another 20 years. We have a short video to show you.
Great, thank you. Got a little bit more volume.
So I will never let you go, 'cause you were born to change this life. You were born to chase the light, 'cause you were born. Love your mother, yeah, she's a good one. She'll build you armor, keep you warm as a hen. The stars may fall, the rains may pour, but I will love you evermore, 'cause you were born to make this right, 'cause you were born to chase the light, 'cause you were born. Precious, oh my love, when they come to take me, I will hold you from above. I don't know why we're here, and I don't know how, but I'm here with you now. I am here with you now, 'cause you were born to make this right, 'cause you were born to change this life, 'cause you were born to chase the light, 'cause you were born.
Brought you some little birthday goodie bag.
Oh, great, thank you. Congratulations, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners update. Commissioners, do y'all have any?
I would just like to update the commission that, as planned, I did go speak in front of the legislature regarding the proposed bill on commissioner qualifications. The subcommittee was very receptive to the feedback that we gave them. Mary also was there and assisted with that and also made a presentation to them. I think that they are on the right track, but they understand that how they limited the ability of who could serve on the commission was a little bit too constrained, and we're very eager to get feedback from us, and so I think we're going to follow up with them and give them some additional feedback regarding the exact nature of how that statute should be structured. But I thought the presentation itself went very well.
Great. Same. Laurie? Still with us, Laurie?
I am.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Any report?
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any
All right.
update for this month.
Okay. Thank you. State Director's report, Mary?
The draft waiver case management standards, the key word is here draft, have been sent out to all providers, as Ms. John has said. And the reason that they were sent out is to ensure that the big issues are identified and discussed prior to it going to the policy committee and being finalized. So that is just the usual way of doing business. So we're respectfully requesting a policy committee meeting prior to the next commission meeting so we can get those out to public comment from that group. The billing rates continue to climb, with 60% now being the average. We have been using a 3-month rolling average, which is required due to the up and down swings since May 2018. And this has been a topic since then. The pattern was stabilized with those swings stopping in January at 51% and February's converting to 55% billing with only 19 business days. And then March, we're up to 60%. We're hoping that April's numbers will keep the trend moving up and solidify the confidence in the transition. We think a healthy majority of providers are around or above their break-even point, and even more are above their variable cash cost flow break-even point. That being said, we have people that are below the 40% mark. We've identified them. We have 11 agencies we're targeting. We'll be sending out a letter this afternoon informing them that they will be receiving technical assistance from us. Before now, it's been done on a voluntary basis. People have been asking for us to come out, and we've been going. And we've been doing that for quite a while. There has been countless hours of training done by Lori and Rhonda and myself, frankly. I've been to quite a few boards out there all this time based on the individuals who have invited us out there to see them. But now we've got 11 that we've identified we have to go out. We'll be notifying them and their board that we're coming. Once again, to reiterate a point that's been said many times previously, not everybody's listening to it. The rate we pay case management providers, as well as the EI providers, is a pass-through rate. DDSN will be paid for the services related to maintaining oversight of these services via an admin contract with GHHS. So the published rate is the rate. So to quote somebody we knew from many years ago, the rate is the rate. And we'll be sending that out. We're not taking any money off of that rate. Okay. The plan as far as how we're transitioning to this has been ongoing, and ever since we've started the work group, that plan has been telegraphed to all providers. Everybody and anyone is welcome to participate in that planning process. Next, I want to talk about something that we're going to have to get ready for, is hurricane preparedness. Just real quickly, want to bring this to your attention. We have an emergency preparedness meeting in May on the 22nd, so we encourage providers to attend. It's statewide, regional centers and providers, since we don't just look at the regional centers, we have to look at all those providers that have to move. And it's the kind of the catchers and the pitchers, because we have to receive people as well as people have to move. So we want to make sure that that system is in place. The other thing I want to bring to the commissioner's attention is the hurricane shutters we have for Coastal Center. They are antiquated. They are heavy. They're hard to put up. I mean, there's people on ladders lifting these very, very heavy shutters onto these windows. And they have invented automatic shutters now. So we want to go ahead and ask that we can actually.
We see, she's nodding her head.
Yes.
Becky Hill's nodding her head.
I mean, it's not going to be an inexpensive purchase. It's like $100,000. However, it's time. And the other thing to me, as a person that cares about our individuals, is that once those shutters get put up, they usually stay up to the end of hurricane season, which means our folks have to live in darkness. And it's just not right. So we need to do this. So we'll be bringing that. We're going to go ahead and put the bid together. We've got like an idea. The ballpark figure of $100,000 is based on, after I saw the hurricane shutters and I said, they don't come down. Give me a bid on automatic shutters, and that's what it came out to be. But now we need those specs, and we need to turn them into an actual request for proposals from people. So that needs to be done. It's just the right thing to do at this point. I also have.
Mary, do we have to do
Yes.
anything for that RFP at this point? I mean.
Not at this point, and I think that once we get the bids, expending the money, I will bring to you.
Okay.
Even though I think it's gonna be underneath my spending limit, there's no reason why I can't come to the commission.
Right, yeah. I agree.
So,
You can tell us about it.
you know, and then, hopefully we'll have that for the next meeting. And then the generator updates. All the generators at the regional centers are online and in good working order. But they're in working order, okay? And we have FEMA issuing new grants from Hurricane Florence, I believe. And we're trying to now scout out who wants to be part of that grant pool. That's the next go-round. But I do have a list of who is where and what part of the process, if you're interested in that. I don't think I have to read it. I'll just be happy to hand that to you. But we are up on we know who's got generators, who doesn't, are they complete, who's in process. And of course, we've got some folks that just don't meet the criteria for them because you have to have a certain number, not the FEMA grants, because you have to have a certain number of power outages. And if you don't meet that criteria, you're not going to be able to get a grant. Okay, so that's the generators. The camera update. All of the training and with the HRC members and the staff have been completed. So now we have installation commencing on Monday at Coastal Center. And facility administrators at the other centers are now working with maintenance to spec out the facilities so we can find the number of cameras and placement of cameras in the other facilities, because that way we'll have prices for that based on the prices for the other, for we use at Coastal Center. The Oversight Committee update. I spoke with the staffer from the House Oversight Committee requesting information about our required update. I was asking her, okay, what do we do? How do you want it? What's the format? She said that there'll be a letter coming out next week that will request our information. It'll be in the form of a letter. And we all know that we've been keeping this in a chart and a tab and just updating things as we've been getting through it. So it's not going to be a hard task to put together. I just want to make sure it's in the proper format that they're expecting. So that'll be being sent off. And I believe that at the next commission meeting, we'll be able to say that that had been done. The other thing I want to bring to your attention, because it was just brought to my attention, was OIG is in South Carolina over at HHS. This is part of a process they're doing all over the country. Basically, they've already completed 5 or 6 of these where they're pulling emergency room codes for folks that live in group homes, and they are matching the injury code to the person to the reporting system to make sure they all line up, to see that people are reporting injuries that are going to the emergency room in some sort, that the state has some sort of process, like the IMS system, the incident management system, that we have a process in place that captures these. So I really just found out about this yesterday, and I could not find in the minutes where you had been made aware that they had come into the state about a year ago. All right. Unraveling state case management, unraveling the management decisions of this agency that have taken place over many, many years has involved a lot of asking probing questions. Some questions were easy to ask, and some questions are more difficult to ask. And it's not a quick process. Many months of bringing folks in and department by department and going through their budgets right down to zero to see, do we have the right people in the right place doing the right thing? That's been going on. You can't take years and years of the way systems were built and unravel it in a day and a half. It takes time. So I just want to assure the commission that the process of discovering, reviewing processes and procedures to streamline where we can, clarify where we must, is occurring. We are at the beginning of a soft reorganization, and I use the restaurant term of a soft opening because he's sort of trying out, which is what we're doing. It's a trial reorg to test our findings and test our theories as how things should work. We are questioning each and every non-service contract that is currently on the books to see if they're legitimate. Every contract is being questioned because as we move to the new world of fee-for-service, for all services, because they will be pass-through rates, that is an expectation that is set by the General Assembly, we need to be able to actually justify every one of these non-service contracts because they're going to be using state dollars. So we need to justify them. We need to make sure the contract's appropriate or does not have a deliverable that we expect it to have. So that work is going on. As again, it is not an easy job. It is a time-consuming job, but it is being done. The new waiver case management service was developed with all parties at the table. It was not conjured up by any one business or agency, including DDSN or HHS. Providers were at the table, and I was one of those providers, as was many of the people in this room. It is a better way of doing business, so our families do get to understand what their services are, because there'll be more time allowed. We won't be compliance. We will be compliance driven. We're always going to be compliance driven. However, we also need to be service driven. We need to make sure our families understand their services, understand their waivers. We need to make sure our plans are person-centered. And with monthly contact, we're ensuring that. And it's part of the service that was developed in 2014, approved by CMS in 2014. So I just want to reiterate that, Soft. I want service coordination to be a true service for people, to be an actual resource that families value. And that's my report. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much. Committee Chairman Gary LaMelle, the Finance and Audit Committee update, please.
Thank you. Earlier this month, the Finance and Audit Committee met to review two policies, 27504DD and 27506DD, both of which, pursuant to recommendations by the staff, had some minor changes, mostly with regard to wording, specifically taking out some elements that are not going to be present as the system is moving forward, as Mary said. After the review of both policies by the committee voted and recommended that the policies as proposed, amended, be adopted by the commission. And so on behalf of that committee, I therefore move that both of these policies be adopted by the commission.
Is there any more discussion on this?
I'm happy to answer any questions if there were. And I think,
Laura, you have any questions? Sam, you have any?
No, ma'am. I listened into the committee meeting.
Okay.
I think everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everybody was there for the committee meeting for the most part, and it was fairly straightforward. It was nothing radical in any of these wording changes.
So, coming from committee, it does not need. I need a motion.
On behalf of the committee, I would make that motion to adopt both policies as amended.
Okay, second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, to the business portion, the Disability Advocacy Day, Cindy Farr and Connie Gallman.
She's ready.
Oh, good.
Good morning.
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 Thank you for inviting me. Well, because Margie's on vacation, she asked me to come, so thank you for inviting me. So Disability Advocacy Day was March 6th of this year, and it was a very cold day. But it was nice. It was a pretty day, but it was just cold. So, we had 375 people that registered. We had a rally, and we had many speakers. Miss Mary Poole was there. And we had our 2019 South Advocate of the Year was Shaquetta Stuckey from Florence. She was surprised. And SCPDO have our new logo on our shirts, just for our new logo. So, and you can catch SCPDO on Facebook. Just friend us and you will know all of what we do. So that's we've been pretty busy doing the rally, trying to get it organized throughout the year, so, and I will always be the speaker of the rally, so I enjoy doing it and trying to speak up for other people with disabilities, not just the ones can speak and the ones cannot speak. So, and just for myself and others, so, any questions?
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
And you did a great job.
Thanks.
The rally was good, even though we got taken out from the inside to the outside.
That's right.
We still managed it, didn't we?
Yes, ma'am.
You did great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Pick us out.
Rob McBurney.
There. Good morning. First off, I want to give you a sort of late breaking good news. We have a new commissioner on the way from the 4th District.
Yay!
Just this morning, prior to this meeting, the Senate Medical Affairs Committee approved Robin Blackwood. And she is a Greenville native. She's a native of Orangeburg, and she lives in Greenville now with her family. She is a family member. She's a consumer of our services, so she is certainly well versed in what it is that we do here, and we're gonna get her trained up, and we're gonna hit the ground running. Hopefully. We'll have her voted in, and she'll be sitting up there with y'all at the next meeting.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Welcome.
Okay. So I encourage you to meet Robin after the meeting. The budget, I'm going to let Pat Maley handle that part of it. The next bill I want to talk about, 3824, which is Commissioner Qualifications and Training. This is something that was from the Legislative Oversight Committee. We had a great hearing on March 26th with the Mental Health Social Services Subcommittee, and Commissioner Lamel did a fantastic job of providing input, as well as Mary. Commissioner Lamel really pointed out the need for flexibility for the governor in making these appointments to the commission, and Director Poole had some great input on that, as well as training for ongoing training for commissioners. So I think that what we're going to have is a really good bill. We're working on an amendment right now with the committee staff and the chairman. We had a good meeting with Representative Robinson Simpson. I'm talking about that in a little bit too, who's the chairman of that subcommittee, and I think we're all on the same page. And we're going to have a really good amendment going forward. House Bill 3825, another one that was out of the Legislative Oversight Committee recommendations. Medical decisions under the Adult Health Care Consent Act. I think we're going to have to amend the bill to address some concerns. Director Poole did a fantastic job of testifying at that hearing. And I think that we're going to have a really good amendment going forward that we're going to be able to take to the Senate as well, and get it passed. We're going to make a push to get it done by the end of the session. The Vulnerable Adult Abuse Registry, I talked about that last month, that nothing has changed on that. That is something that's going to be an ongoing thing, and I think they're going to have to work on the budget for next year. So that is something that's going to be an ongoing issue. Creation of an early childhood development and education director, a cabinet agency. What they're going to do, they're going to try to take a lot of the children's, the federal programs and state programs that deal with children and move them under one cabinet agency. They're moving some things out of DSS and some other places to really kind of come up with a children's advocate, really, in the cabinet. That is something that is being studied It affects us only in such, that Mary sits on the First Steps Advisory Board, and BabyNet would move to this new agency. So there's some discussions about that going forward. They had a committee meeting scheduled for that, and they canceled it to get some financial impact statements. So they're kind of worried about moving the federal money and the federal matches and things like that with the agency. So they might come up with some kind of hybrid structure with that, but we're studying it going forward. There was another small bill that, I would say small, it was a bill that we were kind of puzzled by, that dealt with the Family Services Support Services Program. It was a bill put in by Representative Robinson Simpson as one of her constituent had a concern on it, and Mary did a fantastic job of explaining everything to her. And really that there's no need for this bill, that what is being done is what they want to be done in this bill is being done with other statutes and other programs. So that's something that we were kind of puzzled by, but we got to the bottom of it, and had a very productive meeting with Representative Robinson Simpson, who is our subcommittee chairman there on 3M. So that was very good and very productive.
Great.
And so just on one thing going forward, I would, May 7th, it looks like we're going to have something Commissioner Lamel brought up last meeting, our Special Olympians, our world Special Olympians. They went to the World Games, won a gold medal and several silver medals, and Scott Rohr, a golfer, won a bronze medal in golf. They're going to be honored at the State House on May the 7th. So you'll be getting an invitation to that as well if you'd like to come out and help honor them. The governor, the Senate, and the House are going to honor them.
That's Josh Myers and
Scott Rohr.
Do we know when on the 7th?
That's going to be determined based on meeting times for the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
But it'll probably be in the morning. It's usually a whirlwind, hour and a half, 2 hours up there, where they go to the House, they go to the Senate, and then they go to the governor's office.
Great. Well, thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Got any questions?
Thank you so much.
All right.
Good to have you here. All right, Cut Maley, budget update, please.
Good morning. A quick recap of the budget so far in the legislative session. The House has presented its budget, and for DDSN, in their budget, they have the $10.4 million for the dollar increase in compression pay for direct care support and $2 million for Greenwood Genetics. The Senate.
How much for Greenwood Genetics?
$2 million.
Okay.
Just a messenger.
I understand.
We just
I understand. I didn't say it.
And the Senate has not formally approved their budget request yet, but they're coming close. The Senate Finance Committee has approved its budget to propose to the full Senate, and in the Senate Finance Committee's proposal was $10.4 million, $580,000 for the respite care beds, basically consumers in crisis in the community, that we have placed to triage them, to stabilize them, and make a better determination on where to place. $140,000 for transitioning juveniles that are currently in protective custody into our system, turn 18. And so with those 5 budget items, we have to wait until both the House and the Senate get passed and they reconcile. And we'll keep you updated on that.
Do we have any sort of indication at this point in time whether that the money for respite is going to make it through reconciliation?
I asked that question, and I said, is there anything out there wiggling as they come through the Senate vote as that it could be out? And as far as I know, there's no noise to that effect.
And we feel like
the
House is going to go along with this.
Hey, I can't give you promises there, but our job is to
not promises.
Advocate the need. There's definitely the need.
We keep advocating for it.
Okay.
I'm optimistic that.
Okay, that's enough. Thank you.
The fact that it ended up in the Senate's budget was extremely, I mean, that was That was wonderful.
Any questions on the budget? So we'll know shortly on the Senate side.
Okay, financial update?
Financial update, you have the routine one-page update, and as you can look at the, we track all those numbers, we mainly track, are we on track with our expenses for the year? We're 3/4 of the way through the year. We spent 73, if I have my glasses on, 73.96% of our expenses, so we're really under our budget on expenses. I got 3 pair on me. So from an expenditure standpoint, we are at or below where we need to be, which is good. We did a financial projection for the end of the year last week. At the beginning of the year, we started with $4 million cash, and our budget estimation was we'd end with $1.7 million in cash, which is actually a deficit of at this point in time, we are above the 1.7, which is good. But I have to constantly remind ourselves and the commission that our budgeting process with Medicaid revenue has high variability. And so I feel confident we're exactly where we need to be, and we'll watch it to the end of the year, but I feel certain that we will be able to manage it to a balanced budget this year. But as we plan for next year, and we have a new payment system coming on, a lot of energy has to go into our finances going forward. And we're going to have to build a reserve in order to run a Medicaid agency. We have not done that in the past, and we've got to do that in the future. I know the big question for finances generally, you're waiting for the Mercer report. I can already tell you that we still don't have it. I think it's around the corner very shortly, but it is HHS's report. But I want to tell you that as an organization, we're getting ready for the Mercer report. There is going to be a payment system change. And part of that change is where we are versus where we're going. And we don't want to prejudge what that is, because I think we're building a healthy, long-term, sustainable system. But what we're doing in advance, like Mary was talking about, is we're looking at our own house to get in order. We need to look at all the things that we're doing now is we're looking at our property, identifying our property, what are our expenses, because one of our future goals is to divest ourselves of the property to simplify our operations, simplify providers. We're looking at all our overhead allocations. We're looking at what's part of our overhead. We're also looking at the systems costs, and they're the costs that Mary talked about. What's their value? What's their value in the long term? And because dollars will be tight, and we have to realize that a way to improve is not always to look at the General Assembly. A way to improve is to look at internal operations and reallocate. There's more opportunity to improve through reallocations than waiting every year for the General Assembly to bestow money upon us. And we're also looking a lot at our data integrity. As we enter a new payment system, we've got to have accurate data. We've got to have better monthly reporting. Because in a fee-for-service model, we do not have the cost protections that the bans present us. So there's a lot of hammering behind the scenes and getting ready so that when the Mercer report comes, we'll be in a position to put the two together and find a way forward.
And where are we with the cost reports?
Cost reports.
I know we did 16.
We have not done a cost report since 2013.
Right.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, we're 5 behind. We finished the 15, 16 report, which is over at HHS. The cost settlement there was $1.7 million that we would owe HHS. I think there's a chance it could go down to $500,000 if they combine 2 categories. I think when you look at that to me is a good positive sign. Because if you looked at our most recent cost report prior to that, it was 11 and 12. And in that year, we had a $10 million payback. Right. And that's not unusual. It's just basically, but generally we want to end up on the high side where we're paying them their money back. And now, 5 years later, instead of being $10 million over, we're 10 million under, meaning we have more Medicaid expenses than revenue. And as you can see, that's why we're going down on our cash side. So at the end of the day, we need to rebalance the bands. We need to rebalance the rates. And it couldn't come at a better time. So from a cost report completion, there's a CPA under contract that will then start producing our cost reports the projection, again, we projected the Mercer report to be here in January, but the projections are that we will have those 4 cost reports done starting in June, 1 a month until September, so we'll have 4 done. And then we'll have 3 more to do, the most recent 3 years, and then we will do them in the normal course of business as quick as we can.
And let me ask you this. I know we didn't do them for a long time. Are they on track that we'll do them every year when they're due?
Hopefully, we won't do them anymore. If we get a new payment system, we go fee for service, they will be diminished.
Until it's done, until everything's
When we finish these 4 reports,
right.
we'll be in a position to just keep the momentum going.
Okay.
One of the challenges was we had just a number of,
They just didn't do them.
well, it's a combination of, but the bottom line is they should have been done. There's no excuses for that. But we got to keep the momentum going and finish them up.
Okay.
Right? Any questions? Thank you.
All right. Yay, this is my favorite part. Rufus Britt, could you do the DDSN Employee of the Year report?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so excited about this.
And Liz Lamont's not doing it.
Oh, great. And Liz, I'm sorry.
It truly is.
Nice to have you here too.
It truly is an honor and a privilege to support individuals in our care and their families, but we can't do it without dedicated staff. And today, Liz and I have the opportunity to introduce you to 5 dedicated staff who have gone above and beyond the call of duty. So Liz is going to talk about the Employee of the Year process, and then we'll introduce the.
Can I hold for 1 second? I'm terribly sorry to interrupt, but we would like to start bringing more motions before the commission. And we'd like to ask for a motion to accept the financial report that was given to you by Mr. Malley. Would you?
So moved. I was kind of wondering why we didn't do that. We always used to do
Right,
that.
because we used to do
County
that at the boards all the
Yeah.
time. So we'll
Yeah,
start instituting that here.
Move to approve the finance report as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Rewind. I'm terribly sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I was like,
That's important.
yes, sorry.
This is equally important, recognizing staff who contributed to our agency.
Okay.
So Liz is going to talk about the Employee of the Year process, and then we're going to open the stage.
Okay,
To
great.
facility administrators and the district director, John Hitchman, to share some information about these very committed and special employees.
Wonderful.
All right, so each year, out at the regional centers, they have Employee of the Year. They're voted on a quarterly basis. And then we have the opportunity at the end of the year to have the previous year employees to vote on this year's. So without getting too bogged down in the details, there is a process as far as voting involving the previous year. And then we have each quarter out at the regional centers, the Employee of the Quarter, and then those employees are voted on for the Employee of the Year for those regional centers. So that's what we're going to present today, and at the end we're going to present the overall Employee of the Year. Okay? I do want to say that we decided this year, DDSN has decided to give a $500 bonus for each Employee of the Year at the regional centers, and then a $1,000 bonus.
Whoa.
I'm happy.
That's a big announcement.
We're very excited about that, and it's well deserved and much earned. So each of you, as you fill out your names, if you'll come up with your facility administrator, and please do not open the envelope yet because the secret is in the envelope.
Uh-oh.
All right, we're going to start with Angel Schuler and Becky, your facility administrator.
Oh, what's the wonderful news today? We might get some hurricane perils. We get a bump.
Oh, yes.
Yes, wonderful news. It's not made me teary-eyed. Okay. It's really with great pleasure that I present Coastal Center's 2018 nominee for the Employee of the Year. Angel has been with us for 6.5 years, but I'm going to tell you, we talked the whole way up. I actually found a sister who likes to talk as much as I do. We talked the entire way up, and I just feel like I have known her much longer than for the 6.5 years. But she's just a direct support professional in Highlands 310, And our residents in there, they have what we would describe maybe mid-management behaviors, and some of our elders live in the building too. But the 310 building, I would describe it as the glue for our campus. We've been able to, with the staff, along with Angel, have been able to address some of our work shortages because their staffing has been excellent. And Angel works with a very good team, but she stands above the team. And along with the other nominees that we had this past year, she has provided all the self-care, all the activities of daily living that are required for the position. She's maintained the accountability and the health and safety. But when we were asking for nominees, and I told her along the way, I said, everybody loves you. And what they said, I said, I want this employee that just has stood out above. And everybody said Angel Schuler. The direct care workers, the parents, their AOD workforce, the supervisors. Now that's saying a lot. That's all 3 shifts saying this. And what they said was, she's dependable, she is loyal, she is selfless, she loves with unconditional love. And that one thing that I said, all we had to do is call Angel and say, we need help. And her first response would be, where do you need me to go? And so joining her today is her daughter, Vadina, who is in college, and she is planning to be an OT. She's planning to go to graduate school. And Angel has raised her, found out that she's a world traveler. I found that along the way. And she's traveled to places I've never been to. So she's a member of Red Hill Baptist Church in Santee, South Carolina. The other thing is she travels from Bowman, South Carolina every day to Somerville to work. So that's also showing her commitment. And she loves what she does. And I can't thank you enough. She is an example for all our workforce. And I also want to thank the parents, and thank you for that. We are turning our workforce shortage around. And Angel and I were talking about that, and she said it's gotten much better, but she has stayed with us through the very daunting times. So again, great pleasure to present Ms. Angel Schuler for president.
Angel, you want to say a few words?
I just want to say I thank y'all very much for recognizing me. That's about it.
All right. Mary Kelly at Solidi Regional Center with John Hitchman.
Good morning.
Okay.
I'm subbing in for Miss McLean today. She, her daughter wanted full scholarship to college, and they had to go to the presentation to accept that day. So, yeah, she's excited about that. It's my honor, though, to introduce Miss Mary Kelly. She is a manager at the Salibi Center. She's only been with us for 4 years, but she started out as a direct support worker and quickly rose up through the ranks. She does just a wonderful job at the Salibi Center. She's driven, devoted, and has an extremely caring nature. The thing that always stands out about Mary to me is when she's on, everybody's calm, collected, and we know that she is going to have things under control. And she is unbelievably caring and dedicated to her individuals that she serves. She's a mother of 2 sons and 3 daughters. She's active in her church, and very team-oriented, which is certainly a trait that we're promoting heavily right now. She's a team player, she's a team leader, and she is exactly what the kind of employee that we want to represent not just the Sleepy Center, but our agency. So I'm very happy to congratulate her again and introduce her as the Employee of the Year for the Sleepy Center.
I just want to thank everybody that I work with. I enjoy my job. I love it. I wake up every morning, but no, I wake up every night because I work third shift. But to me, it's my morning. But I enjoy where I work. I love the people I work with. I enjoy my consumers. I walk in and it just brightens my day because it brightens my night. But when they get up, it's just like they're my children. I mean, that's my family, and I'm so protective over them. So it's my home away from home, and I just love it. And I love the people I work with, especially my boss. He's great. So, and this one too. I appreciate the opportunity to even work where I am, and I love what I do, and I love the consumers I work with. And I believe if you don't love what you do, you don't need to be there.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's what I do, and it's me. So that's who I am.
All right. Charlene Speaks and Randy Davis with Whitney Regional Center.
I didn't get Mary Jones her thing.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Charlene Speaks and to brag on Miss Speaks. She is a wonderful HSA for Whitten Center. Charlene has been at Whitten for 2 years, but she has made such a difference in such a short period of time. She has a very infectious smile, and you hear that with everyone you speak to, and you see it. You can see it now. It is a pleasure to work with her. She works in Unit 204, which is a unit for some of the most medically fragile individuals that we serve. And it's hard work, and we have been short-staffed for quite a while. But Charlene is able, by her personality, her work ethic, being there every day, serving the folks that we support, to really encourage the people that she works with. They treasure her. They do. And it is such a delight to have her. You know, when we made the announcement in the unit about a month ago, we tried to be kind of covert and secretive with it, and you know, the balloons kind of give things away. But, we joined together with all the consumers that were in the unit at the time and all of the staff. Everybody wanted to be there with her to indicate how much they care about Charlene. She is a wonderful person. She has 2 children. Her daughter Shanita and the son Travis, and they live in the Clinton area. And she has 4 grandchildren, which she's very proud of. Dre, Trey, Zay, and Peanut. Peanut is the 4-year-old, but Peanut kind of rules the cool things. So those are a delight, and I know they delight in their grandmother. And Charlene's very active in her church, God Grace Redemption Ministry. She, in her time off, which she doesn't have a lot of, because she's doing so much for Whitten and for SCDDSN, but she helps out with trips, dinners, and any other activities that are going on in the church. So, again, thank you for this opportunity to introduce Ms. Speaks to you. And
And now I'd like to say thank you for the nominees and everything, and thank all of y'all. And also thank you for the parent club at Wheaton and all that. We have so much fun and music down there, so we consumer get the boogie a little bit. So thank y'all for everything. It's been a joy to work there, and I love all of them, and I love to come to work every day. I even be 1 minute late, I have a fit. So thank y'all for everything. Thank you.
And Angela Wright, Midland Center.
in our quest to find the perfect staff, nowadays it's a little different. When it comes to Rachel Schuler, she is totally different from what we've been experiencing. She's only been with Midland Center 6 years, and I'm saying only because we have people that have been there many, many, many years. When it comes to Rachel, she brings that old school kind of love and nurturing to our consumers, and that's what we need. I mean, it's a lot of staff that they do wonderful things, but you do have to meet our consumers where they are. You do have to have that heart, the love. You have to have that nurturing spirit about yourself in order to really connect with our consumers. This is Rachel. When it comes to Employee of the Month, she had gotten it, and then the next month they wanted to do Employee of the Month again. It was Rachel. No. Let's let somebody else, she can do it again for the quarter. And then the following month, when it was time for her to get it for the quarter, it was like 3 other staff had put in for her to be Employee of the Month again, and it was other areas. It wasn't even the area that she was working in all the time. So that says a lot about her. When it comes to faces and names, they never meet each other in my brain. I don't connect with the two. However, I kept hearing about this Hope, Miss Hope, Miss Hope, Miss Hope. And then when it was time to introduce her as employee, I was like, y'all gotta show me who she is because I'm not sure. And it was Miss Hope. I was trying to, we had a Price is Right. The day program had Price is Right. And I said, well, okay, well, I'm just gonna kind of wiggle my way in and I'm gonna play a little game too. So I got to talking about somebody and giving a description about somebody before I even got finished. Miss Hope is nobody but Miss Hope. And I was like, you know, that's so you have somebody that stands out to everyone. You don't get that all the time. And when it's the consumer, she works in the seniors program now, but when she left Sycamore, it was like everybody in Sycamore said it hasn't been the same. And they always say, well, she worked her butt off. She's always working. She's always doing for the consumer. She has no complaints and she does not mind helping out. I was like, well, cool. Now she's in the day program and they have really, really accepted her well and love her. And even with the consumers, just to bring her name around, the people that cannot speak can hear, they just bounce in the chair. You can tell just the way it's fun. And I get this all the time about Miss Hope. Well, I'm calling you Miss Hope, but Miss Schuler. I get it all the time. So it's just that natural. It's nothing made up. It's nothing you have to teach her. She already knows, and she does not mind helping out in any given way. If you want to sum up someone in one word, excellence.
Thank y'all for this honor this morning. And I do enjoy what I do, because when the guys come in class or the little ladies come in class and they see me there, their faces just brighten up, and that just fills my heart to know that I am doing something that helps everybody. Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, Ms. Wilma Epps, John Hitchman, PD Regional Center. Congratulations.
Again, this is Miss Wilma Epps, and she is an employee of the PD Center. She's a 33-year state employee, 21 of those with the Department of Disability and Special Needs. She also started as a direct support worker and through the ranks, and she's now a programmer for the last 11 years at the PD Center. Thought it was very telling that she brought one of her coworkers with her, and the thing that stands out about Wilma to me is they go the extra mile. They do everything you'd expect of them to be excellent employees, but it's all the little things, all the extra things that they do that really make her stand out. And an example of that is, for the last 10 or 11 years that I've been at the PD Center, the units that she works in, there's 2 units, 304 and 301, Mulberry at the PD Center, and they're always decorated the best. They participate in every activity. The guys always look the best. They have matching shirts when we have festivals. It's all that, but all that attention to detail, and she's one of the driving forces in that. And not just that one unit, but both of them. She participates when we need volunteers. She's always first in line. It's like I said, it's all those little things that make her just an excellent employee. She's also a great aunt, has one niece and one nephew, and she has an excellent smile, and is always smiling. I don't know that I've ever seen her not smiling. So, but it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Wilma Epps as the 2018 Employee of the Year for the PD Center.
Like John just said, I've been there for 33 great years, and I've enjoyed every year of it. And I'm going to take the theme from Chick-fil-A. Not only is it a pleasure to work at PD Center, but it's also my pleasure and a privilege.
All right, so the Employee of the Year for DDSN, and I wrapped it up really tightly, so sneak a peek, is Miss Angel Schuler. Would you like to come up again?
Good, glad.
I know you said a lot, but you can just kind of, you have such.
Okay, so I'm really gonna cry.
Yeah, it's a bonus. Good.
Okay, so this is really emotional for me. Some people already know, but I'm retiring this year. And, oh my goodness, I'm so proud of you. And I'm proud of everybody that was presented today, because how do you pick? Really, how do you pick? But I do believe that everybody that was here today truly represents what's best about our agency. And to present the last time for the Employee of the Year, and Angel gets it. It's extra special for her, but it's very special for me. And so, again, Angel, thank you for what you do at the Coastal Center for all our residents. And enjoy this time.
We would like to take pictures.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
We have plenty of time for that, to do that.
Where are we going?
We can take pictures after the commission meeting, so.
Yeah, I know, okay.
Well, we're going for that luncheon, so.
Yeah, I know,
we-
but, okay, I didn't realize if they knew where it was. Okay, thank you all very much, and I'm so glad to have everybody, congratulations, and, do not have an executive session today, so, our next regular meeting is May 16th. We're adjourned.
Thank you, Laura.
Bye, Lori, thanks, have fun.
Not moving, except.
Don't move.